Do you have the fear of learning in pandemic? I have the fear because I am a research student. The rise of online education has become the centric of students' lives. This intrigued me to work on the research around the digital education and flipped education model. I come from the family of engineers who believe that knowledge is one's identity and power. I graduated as an engineer in the year 1992. At that point in time, the classroom was the only education model available. Now you would have guessed that I am from Gen X. Now you can ask me, why at this stage of your life you want to do research and why now in particular? There are two factors. One, I want to create my own identity in the era of generational diversity. I want to overcome the fear of learning in pandemic. A year ago, when COVID spread across the globe, majority of countries announced temporary closures of schools and colleges, impacting 1.6 billion students. In India alone, 350 plus million users were asked to switch to online education overnight. This was a major transition that I never even thought about. With the life expectancy also going up and the online education is here to stay, it is becoming very important that we start embracing and overcoming the fear of learning in pandemic because we have to sustain and succeed. As a mother of a budding engineer, I could sense the pain and empathize with the challenge of online education my son was going through. I had to do something about it. I started my research around the flipped education model in the context of engineering education. That is when I started to go over the various journals and articles. Some of the challenges that got amplified time and again were the students and teachers yet not prepared for this kind of education, the fatigue due to screen time, the quality of education getting dropped, the work-life balance has become a challenge, the internet and network connectivity in the urban and the rural household. I soon realized that unknowingly I have become the subject of experiment for online learning. You might be wondering as to how and why, because most of my classes were online and my home literally became my classroom. Day one of online class was a bit of a chaos and I wasn't prepared for it. But in the last 8 months, I had made few changes which has helped me to embrace the new way of learning to overcome the fear of learning in pandemic. Let me share with you the 4 small changes, which I call it as tweaks I had made in my life to embrace the new way of learning. 1. Face. 2. Leverage. 3. Involve. 4. Partner. So let me summarize once again. What are the 4 changes I did? Face, leverage, involve, and partner. Face. Online education is here to stay. This is a new and the next normal. Let's face it. Literally and figuratively, let's face it. Let me ask you one fundamental question. How many of you have turned on your camera during your online classes? Let me admit, I did not do it until it was mandated by my professor. What a change in the last 6 months I have been able to observe in myself. After I turned on the camera, I have become more conscious, I have become more prepared, I have become more involved. And the fact of the matter is, I always feel that someone is watching me and it works on me. I recollect the Amy Cuddy's talk in which she says, our bodies changes the mind and our mind changes the behavior, our behavior changes the outcome. So if the outcome is confident, don't fake it, but make it. Fake it till you become it. Your body language is very important and it depicts who you are. Make the right investment in the camera, in the headset, and other infrastructure that is required for you to be present in the class. Ensure that you have the right quality of video calls. Many times you get disengaged from your cohort of researchers in the class when you don't have your infrastructure right. It might sound crazy, but believe me, I have a designated workspace in my home which I call it as study space. And it is just for studies and nothing else. And when my study is done, I just get up from the place and move away from that place. So, and also I ensure that I am in a formal attire during the entire session of my class. So if I can face it, so can you face it. Leverage. My area of research is digital education and flipped education model. In traditional classroom, the lower order of learning like remembering, understanding and applying happens in the class, whereas the higher order of learning like analyzing, evaluating and creating happens at home. And this we have been seeing right from our primary school days, where the teacher sets the context in the classroom and homework are given to explore the higher order of learning. In the flip mode, given the widespread adoption of MOOC, students are able to explore the lower order of learning at home at his own pace, and the higher order of learning happen in the classroom by a set of activities with his cohort. But given that we are struck by pandemic in the last many months, how are we really going to make the flipped education model happen when everything has become online? That's a big question in front of us. Given that we have this big question, what is that small little step that we as an individual can take? Let me share what did I do. That is when I started to leverage some of the virtual collaborative tools like Mural, Trello, special interest group through WhatsApp, LinkedIn, Telegram, and so on. This brought in a sense of collaboration. Remember, you're not in it alone. Everyone is in the same boat. Leveraging the technology and adopting the technology in the pandemic is the right way that you can ensure that it doesn't slow the research process. Involvement. We just celebrated Onam. The Vallam Kalli or the boat race is a classic example of what involvement means. The boat is 30 to 35 meters long with 100 plus people in it and who plays various roles. The paddlers, the singers who sing Swanchipattu, the songs to keep up to the pace and motivate the oarsmen to catch up with the speed of the song. The drummers who drums to ensure that the rowers follows the same beat. And this is precisely what happens in the project when we work as a research cohort. Each one has some designated role to play. In online education, one needs to be actively involved. As a Gen X, I find most of the time in a situations where I am surrounded by Gen Y or the millennials. And given this generational diversity, which is so common these days, each one of us should get involved. Just like the Vallam Kalli or the boat race I mentioned earlier, we need to pick up our roles based on our strength and what we can perform. I make it a point to take charge of my group activity many times, and this has been a positive aspect for me, and it also gives me upper hand. And not only that, I also share my experiences. I also mentor the others in the process, and believe it, I have learnt a lot from this, from the millennials, from the newer generation, and the learning in a group is always a two-way street. So get involved. Partner. The last and an important change that I brought in the last 8 months. You will not believe that we have made our home our class, and we have encroached every bit of personal space of our family members. It's a time to partner with them. Share your calendars, your goals, and your expectations very clearly with them. I do that with my son. I share my calendar, I share my expectation, I share my work schedules with my son and my family too. This gives them to be part of your success as well, because every family member want you to succeed. So partner with your family and share your success with your family. So here is the magic potion to overcome the fear of learning in pandemic. Face it. Be camera ready always. Leverage tools and technologies. Involve yourself completely and partner with your family as you are not alone. So let's flip it. If I can do it, you can definitely do it.